Alright, so today I'm out for a ride on my Challenge Urban Camper 20-inch folding bike. I really like this thing. So with that being said, it's certainly got some pros and cons. I think this video is going to talk about a lot of the cons. When I bought it, it was on the clearance at £160. I don't know what the normal price is, but last I looked it was 130. And I hope that by the time this video goes out, it'll still be available. But it sounds like they're stopping production of it, which I think would be a shame. It seems to be one of the only affordable mini velos that you can buy easily in the UK. And I've got a lot of plans to customise it and make it better. You might have noticed down those hills that I was going as fast as I could pedal. Like, there was no point pedaling. This bike has got quite high ratio gears. It doesn't have very many low ratio gears, so it's good for getting a move on, but it don't get you up very fast. I can find with the little wheels, yeah, it's not helping anything. But if you're happy to just tootle along, it works great. I'm just not in a rush on this bike, you know. If I want to go fast, I'll take a different one. So yeah, it's not fast, and there's a lot I'd change about it. But it's a really fun little bike. I made a rush to buy it just before Boardmasters. It fitted very conveniently in my van, even though it doesn't fold up very much. And it handled the fields quite nicely. I did put some more knobbly mountain bikey tyres on it. They're actually Halford's tyres marketed for kids' bikes. But yeah, they seem to have some quite good traction. And so far, other than putting a bell on it, that's the only thing I've modified on this bike at the time of recording this video. So yeah, it's a really nice bike for the price. There's a lot I want to change on it and improve on it before it's where I want it to be. I'll go through, I mean, realistically, it's going to be all the bits I don't like. I'll go through the bits I don't like and then the bits I'm going to change. Maybe a bit of both. from sort of like the contact points down to the ground. So this seat, you buy one of these, budget for another seat, because that's horrible. Like, they just shouldn't sell it with a seat. I've only kept that on so I can do a video with the original seat, but it's so solid. Yeah, it's the most uncomfortable seat I've ever used. Grips are fine. Actually quite a nicely sized one for the twist shift. Often find these end up being a bit too short. But yeah, the grips are fine. I will change them over to something more mountain biking myself. Brakes, plasticky, but they do the job. Twist shift, I don't like the twist shift, but this one works, it does work nicely. It's absolutely fine. Annoyingly, it's a 6-speed bike. I don't mind the bike being a 6-speed. What is annoying is it's got a 6-speed shifter. So ideally I convert over to another 6-speed shifter. That'd be a lot easier. Because it'd be nice to have one with triggers, like a more conventional mountain bike shifter. I don't like twist grips. 6-speed does index the same as 7-speed, so you could run a 7-speed and just, you'd have to set it so you're not using the 7th gear and the limit screws stopping it from going to the cogs. Realistically, I'm just going to upgrade it to 7-speed at some point, or maybe 8-speed if it can take it. I've seen a few people on Reddit doing the exact same thing to this. Seat post and clamp, quite long, old school clamp on it. Is that called a clamp? Old school mount. It does the job. Frame, I like the design. I like that the frame doesn't fold. Feels more solid. You see, I've taken all the stickers off. Big fan of being able to take the stickers off. I think it looks so clean without them. Quill stem. I don't like this folds. I mean, it's useful for putting it in the van, but not that useful. And I was finding this quick release lever just kept coming undone while I was cycling. It didn't mean that it folded in half, but it did make things a little bit looser, which wasn't very pleasant. The drivetrain is fine. I think it's Shimano. I've already stated it's a 6-speed. Single speed at the front, rear derailleur. Works quite nicely. The cranks, I've only just noticed the plastic. That's not very nice. I'll change those at some point. And the pedals don't match. The left one doesn't fold. The right one is a folding pedal. They don't look very similar either. I'm just going to change it over for some DMR V6s at some point. And the idea is that the side that doesn't fold, the handlebars come over on, so it's not a problem for making it compact. I can see why they've done that, but yes, there's a sort of lack of symmetry that quite annoys me there. The forks here, just solid forks, but they are disc brake compatible, and they come with some cable disc brakes. I think that's pretty nice, and it means that you can upgrade. It'd be a really good candidate for being upgraded to electric, either with a hub motor or a mid-drive motor. Yeah, these disc brakes aren't very good. They get stuck. They're Clark's brand, which I think I've heard of. They're reputable, but they do cheap parts. They'll be upgraded at some point. The rotors, they're a bit warped when I got them. I sort of bent them back with a mole grip. I don't recommend you try the same. The rotors seem fine. I don't know what makes a good rotor though. The rims, no complaints from me. Simple black rims. The tyres, it comes with some slick ones, which would probably actually be better for me, but I put these on to ride around fields, and I really like how they look. The bike also comes with fenders. I'm not using them. I might use them as the year goes on and it starts to get a bit more rainy around here. So something I might not have mentioned, a lot of the stuff that was supplied with the bike has gone rusty really quickly. I've had this for maybe a month, and the bottle cage screws are rusty. One of the brake discs is showing a little bit of rust, probably just where it's been left wet. The screws and the brake levers are getting a little rusty. I'm not too worried about it. I think most of that's going to be replaced anyway, but it's not a good start, is it? Also, if you were buying one of these intending to replace the stem, it's a little bit of an awkward size. It's 25.4mm quill stem, which just seems a little bit old school now. I can buy a lot of parts for different sizes. That one's quite hard to buy size. It's not impossible though. I'm just going to buy a threadless sort of 8-head adapter, and that should be cool. It also would be really quite easy to replace it with a threadless pair of forks, but that's I haven't got the budget for that at the moment. I mentioned it was really easy to take the stickers off. That it is. but when I was taking the last sticker off, I tore a little bit of paint off under the inner tube. Not the inner tube, under the bottom tube. Bottom tube? I tore a bit of paint off under here. Not ideal, but doesn't seem to be the end of the world. I'll find some paint that matches this roughly and spray it back on, or I'll put some stickers over it. Which would be a shame after the sticker in it, but it'd be more of a shame to rust it out, you know? The bike does require some self-assembly at home. I found it really easy. If you're at all used to fixing bikes, then this isn't going to give you any trouble. I think you basically got to screw some pedals on, put some wheels in, and I chose to take the fenders off. I think that's really about it. Maybe put the seat post in as well. The hardest bit, and what wasn't even mentioned in the instructions, is sorting out the disc brakes. I've never had a bike with disc brakes before, or at least cable disc brakes, and I've never had to adjust them before. The instructions didn't mention anything about fiddling with the brake calipers, but it was required to make them fit and make the thing stop reliably. Even then, it doesn't stop that quickly with these disc brakes. Next up's the upgrades. This one needs a fair amount to get it to where it needs to be, but we do need to remember that this frame, this full bike, costs less than a lot of mini Velo frames will, so I'm not mad at it. So I want new handlebars, mainly actually because I don't want the stem to fold. The folding stuff just to me seems like something to go wrong, you know, and I don't really need it to fold. I want to put some BMX bars of some sort. I've ordered some with a rake and some without a rake. They've got to be really tall to make up the same height, because I'm going to use a threadless adapter and a typical A-head stem, and I'll mount the handlebars to that, but they've got to be tall to work, otherwise you'd be really bending down to make it happen. With those handlebars, we're going to do new grips, and we're going to do new brake levers. We're going to keep the same shifter for the time being. 7 speeds, 6 speeds, you know, I'll figure that out later. New seats, I can't wait for that. I've got a really big comfortable seat for it. I want this to be a bit of like a sit upright bike still. I don't want it to be so it's got to be it's going to be a big seat that makes you sit 90 degrees upright. Also, I've ordered a dropper post. Not really necessary, but as you saw back then, you sort of want to lower the seat post if you're doing things like jumps or pump tracks, or even off-road, you know, even just a little bit of off-roady stuff. So I want to be able to I bought a really cheap dropper post to be able to drop it down, and I think that'd be really cool. I wouldn't have done it unless it was cheap. I got it for 30 quid on AliExpress, so I'm excited to have a play with that. I'm not in a rush to do this, but I will likely be changing the pedals. I don't like that these aren't symmetrical. I don't need this one to fold, so like I do on most of my bikes, I'll probably get some DMR V6s and put them on it because I like them. I will pop to the nuts and bolts shop and buy some stainless steel bolts to go in here. That would be nice. Also, as a supporting upgrade, I've ordered a load of new cable stuff. I've ordered new cables. I'm not sure if I want to put the new handlebars on, if it all fits still. So just to be safe, I've ordered extra stuff for this, so I always need them. I'm also upgrading the brakes. For various reasons, I want to just stick with cable at the moment, but I found these cable actuated hydraulic disc brake calipers, but basically they're cable actuated. That feeds a hydraulic piston, and then that brakes the disc. I see how good they are, but they got good reviews. I'm excited to put those on. seems like a good idea to show how it folds up. So as I said, there's only 2 parts that fold. It's not particularly involved. So one quick release up here. I have to undo actually because it keeps going undone on me. Move that down, it unlatches, and that'll fold like that. And then just got one of these classic folding pedals, and that'll fold in like that. Oh, and put that seat post down, and there you have it. And you'll see fits very easily in my messy van. Look at that. You don't even need to turn the front wheel to stop it from getting in the way of the sliding door. Nice. And then when you've reached your destination, get it out of your car, and it's pretty quick and easy to put up. Oh. After that quick release, it does come undone. Let's put it a bit lower, we're doing a bit of off-roading. Lovely. You filming? This has just happened. I'm not worried about the shit on the wheel. Yeah, that's worrying. I'm glad I wasn't going downhill when that happened. Probably only myself to blame because I haven't tightened up the quill stem enough, but this problem doesn't really happen with A-heads, so all the more reason to upgrade. I'll get that fixed quick. It's annoying getting the stem lined up with this quill because you've got to do it with the handlebars down instead of always at 45 degrees. Oh, there we go, I'm off. Well, it won't be straight, but it'll be alright. I don't think it was 100% straight to begin with. That'll do. Typically, I'd be doing this with 2 hands on the handlebars and I'd be standing off the seat. That's hard to do while filming. Whew. But I hope, as you can see, it's pretty capable. So, it's nothing special off-road. I'd happily take it anywhere that I take a 90s mountain bike without suspension too, though. I reckon the tyres are doing a little bit, not that I can really notice it, and it's nice where there's no mud around here, it hasn't been raining. It just comes down to this folding stem. I'm not confident in it. Like, I can feel a little bit of wobble in it, and that's just not what you want. The brakes are fine. As I've said, I will be upgrading them. They're not the best. I think I've had V-brakes that perform a lot better than these. But I think the reason they put these cable disc brakes on is so you can upgrade them to hydraulic later. I guess I just think it's a shame that you can't put an upgrade to a V-brake either, because that'd be a lot cheaper. And yeah, the low gearing well, not ideal on the road, is perfect for this type of condition. I'm not going mad fast on it, but it handles it. And yeah, you've sort of got that torque when you need it. I think that it does have an advantage being really small. It's reminiscent to me of a BMX bike, and it feels quite nimble. I'm probably not the best person to put this into words, but with like a 26-inch mountain bike, I feel you've got that much more leverage on your steering wheel. So if you go over a branch or something, a big branch, you might find that your handlebars are torn that way. With this being smaller, it's got less leverage on your handlebars, so it just feels like you've got that much more control. You don't use much strength to wrangle it. I have put the seat down because of the way it's set up for road riding. You want a higher seat, and you want your legs to be more or less straight when you're hitting the bottom of that stroke. When I'm out here, it's nice to put it down low, so you've got a bit more movement at your disposal. And at times I was leaning off the back of the seat, mainly just to stop the Insta360 getting hit by trees. But yeah, it works nicely. I'm going to do some upgrades on it, like getting rid of this stem, and that's going to make it so much better. It's not a all-purposes off-road, cross-country, downhill jump bike, whatever, but it does the job. And compared to my fixie bike, it's a hell of a lot nicer riding out here. Basically, I feel like it can take on gravel bike terrains at a much slower speed. The small wheels might make it a little bit easier to find yourself going over the handlebars, so be careful of that. But yeah, I'm quite happy with it for what I do on a bike. This seems perfect. Right, so in conclusion, let's just do this quickly. It's a cheap bike, right? 130, 160 pounds, whatever it costs at the moment. It's really reasonable for a little bike like this that folds enough to probably get it on a London Underground train. Has gears as well. If you go to Decathlon, buy one of their geared folding bikes, they're about 250 to 300 pounds. So already this is a steal. It doesn't fold that much. I like that. If anything, I'd rather it doesn't fold at all, but I see the appeal to people of the folding bike. I just don't need it to do that. It's 20-inch wheels, so that seems just like super upgradable. There's Bromptons and stuff with the same size wheels. Decathlon's got a range of folding bikes with the same size wheels. Kids' bikes often have 20-inch wheels. So there's all sorts of parts that you can buy for this, and other parts where the wheel size just doesn't matter. The parts are cheap, makes sense for a cheap bike. But yeah, it seems like they've sort of gone with the cheapest thing possible they can everywhere. So I've got plastic brake levers, plastic cranks, plastic pedals, cheap cable disc brakes, and I think that covers most of it. At the same time, it's got a nice Shimano drivetrain, so they haven't necessarily cheaped out on everything. Like, you've still got some decent name brands. You haven't just got like a Shimano compatible shifter. And I think the rear derailleur is Decathlon. I think the rear derailleur is Shimano as well. All in all, I'm really happy with it. If you were to buy one yourself, I would definitely think about buying a new seat with it. But that's probably the only thing that you need to do. People have also recommended that you grease up some of the components, but everything I've taken apart seems to have enough grease on it already. At least I don't want to go adding more. I did lube up the chain as well. So yeah, cool. Well, thanks for watching. I'll try to put a link to the bike in the description below. I'd stay tuned for when I take almost everything off of this bike and put new parts onto it. Thank you and goodbye.
So this is what it's like to be George's girlfriend. My bike. Bike number 1. Bike number 2. Bike number 3. I would do anything for love. but I wouldn't ride that bike.